Welcome to our Living Well with Fibromyalgia video series, and this video is on what is pain. And the purpose of this video is to help you understand your pain, what causes it and how it affects you. There are two very important points to make before we go any further. What do you think will make the biggest difference to your pain? You may be surprised to know that research has shown that understanding pain is the most important thing that you can do to start on the road to recovery. So understanding your pain can actually help you experience less pain. Secondly, your pain is always real. Perhaps someone has made you feel that you're exaggerating your pain or that it's all in your head. We want you to know that we absolutely believe that your pain is real. Why do we have pain? I'm sure you would rather you didn't. Well, the purpose of pain is actually to protect us, to keep us safe. There are a number of protective systems in the body, such as our immune system, but pain is one of the body's most powerful protective systems. It's like an internal alarm that alerts us to danger. It motivates us to stay safe and take care of any problems in our body. Pain protects us by getting our attention and urging us to act to avoid danger. It makes us do or not do something to protect the painful body part. All pain is real, no matter what is causing it. What surprises most people is that you can have pain when there's no tissue damage, so there's no damage to the body. Pain is more complicated than perhaps we think. For example, you may have heard of phantom limb pain. This is when someone can experience pain in a part of their body that's been amputated. Although the limb isn't there anymore, they can feel pain. There's also a story of a man who trod on a nail on a building site, and it went right through his boot. As you can imagine, he was in excruciating pain. But when they went to hospital and they x-rayed his foot, they discovered that the nail hadn't actually touched his foot at all. So although there was no damage to his foot, the man still experienced incredible pain. So pain doesn't always relate to the damage that's done on our body. Or maybe the damage was there once, but pain keeps occurring long after the damage has healed. So we would have expected the injury to have healed up, but pain continues. So how is pain generated in the body? Well, our brain and body communicate with each other through our nerves. Information is sent to our brains and from our brains to our body through this network of nerves. Sensors at the end of our nerves detect changes in our body tissues, for example, temperature, pressure or movement. And our sensors send this information via messages, which are small electrical impulses, to our spinal cord. Our spinal cord then passes the messages onto our brain, where our brain analyses the information to decide if we need to take any action. Some of our sensors only send messages when things are getting dangerous or harmful. For example, if it's too hot, if there's too much pressure, or if a nasty chemical enters the body, such as a wasp sting. These danger sensors send warning messages to our brain to analyse. Once the information reaches the brain, and this happens incredibly fast, scientists have found it's our brains that decide whether or not to create pain, depending upon whether the brain thinks we are threatened and are in need of protection. Our brains have survival as their number one priority, and we are primed to be aware of danger, and pain is one response to protect us from it. The brain makes this decision by considering the warning messages it receives from our sensors, as well as other information it receives or has stored. If you have a look at the picture, you'll see what this includes. You can see from the picture that there's a lot of information that the brain is processing, including what's important to us, what our past experiences are, what we're thinking about, what our emotions are like, what our knowledge, beliefs and understanding of the situation are. The brain analyses and interprets all this information and then decides whether or not to create pain, depending upon whether it thinks we are threatened. Remember, the purpose of pain is to protect us from potential danger. Scientists have found that lots of factors influence the pain we experience. It's not just about damage to our body. In fact, they have found that anything that is a threat, not just to our body, but to our lifestyle, our happiness, or our day-to-day function, increases the likelihood of our brain producing pain and will increase how long that pain lasts, how bad it is, and how much it varies. These include biological, psychological, and social factors. But they've also found that anything that makes us feel safe, stronger, better, healthier, more confident, more secure and certain will reduce the likelihood of our brain producing pain and therefore reduces the length of time we experience pain and how bad it is and how much it varies. So these are some examples of what can make our brain feel more threatened. As you will see, there are biological, psychological, and social examples. Have a look at the slide. Maybe you can identify with some of these. And here are some examples of what can make our brain feel less threatened or more safe. Again, you will see there are biological, psychological, and social aspects. Have a look at these. Perhaps you can identify with these too. Maybe there are things that you do and you hadn't realised that actually they are helping your brain to feel more safe. Now we come to talk about persistent pain. So all that we've been talking about so far is about pain that applies to every single human being. But persistent pain is pain that goes on for much longer. So if you have an injury, you would expect to have pain, and normally that pain would disappear after a few days or weeks once healing has occurred. However, sometimes other biological, social or psychological factors can prolong the pain long after the injury is healed. And when pain lasts longer than 3 months, it's called chronic or persistent pain. And this type of pain continues because even though the body's tissues have healed, the nervous system has become oversensitive. Persistent pain can also start without any injury to the body at all. And persistent pain is the type of pain experienced with fibromyalgia. Now, at the moment, scientists do not fully understand why persistent pain starts. However, they believe that the influence of non-tissue biological, psychological and social factors usually become greater with persistent pain. They have found that nerve cells adapt to such threats to become more responsive. They have also found that the longer pain goes on, the more sensitive nerve cells become, making the whole system better at producing pain. In fact, the whole pain system becomes switched on and turned up to high alert, becoming more overprotective and more efficient at producing pain. If we compare our pain to a fire alarm rings to warn you when there's a fire, just like our pain system can be triggered to warn us of danger. But what happens if our fire alarm malfunctions and becomes overly sensitive? It might now be turned on by the heat from a candle or on a hot day or using the toaster. An oversensitive fire alarm would be activated too often. It would interrupt birthday parties, romantic dinners or any other events where we might light some candles. The oversensitive alarm might even go off randomly without any heat or smoke. Like a sensitive fire alarm, when the body's nerves become too sensitive, they are activated too often, creating excessive pain that interrupts daily life. What would you do if the fire alarm in your house kept ringing? Well, initially, you may call out the fire brigade so they can put out the fire. But if there's no fire and the fire alarm kept ringing, You'd need to fix your overly sensitive fire alarm rather than call out the fire brigade. Well, treating persistent pain is similar to fixing a broken fire alarm. The main strategy is to help the nerves of the pain system become less sensitive. The aim is to retrain your nervous system to become less protective, so it only creates pain when you need it. So this oversensitive nervous system can cause us to experience pain when we don't need it, when we wouldn't expect to. For example, things that should hurt a little start to hurt a lot. So you might hit your leg on a table and you experience excruciating pain. Things that shouldn't hurt at all start to hurt. So normal movements or everyday activities. Or pain starts to spontaneously appear randomly in the body and can be set off by anything. And also, old injuries can start to hurt. So things that had got better can suddenly start to be a problem again. These are all signs of having an overly sensitive nervous system. Perhaps you can identify with some of these. So, does this mean that your nervous system will be oversensitive forever? No. Scientists have found that just as nerve cells can change to become oversensitive, they can also adapt to become less sensitive. So the nervous system can be retrained to become less sensitive. Humans have an amazing capacity to heal, repair and adapt. This is good news for people with persistent pain, such as those with fibromyalgia. And in this course, we'll be looking at various ways to help you adapt your nervous system to become less sensitive. There are many ways of achieving this. It will involve you doing things differently and thinking differently, and it won't happen overnight. However, with practice, patience and persistence, changes can occur. So how do we retrain the pain system? Well, remember the 3 circles we looked at earlier with the different things that can make our brains feel more threatened or less threatened? Retraining the pain system is about trying to reduce the factors that contribute to increasing our threat level and increasing the factors that reduce our threat level. This is how we start to reduce the sensitivity of our nervous system. So we do more of what helps and less of what doesn't help. It may not be possible to change or eliminate all the factors that contribute to our pain, but by looking at those things that we can control, we can learn to manage our pain more effectively. So the trick is not to avoid everything, whether that's emotional or physical challenges, but to retrain the system to cope better with them. The evidence is out there that overwhelmingly shows that the best treatments to overcome persistent pain involves planning ahead, taking control, and having a long-term approach. It shows that being proactive and using active strategies is best, and that preparing your body, mind and brain for any setbacks can make them easier to overcome. Learning to move freely and do things again and believe that you're safe and not under threat takes effort, patience, persistence, and lots of little wins. Retraining your pain system takes time. However, stick at it because your system will remember each small win, and slowly but surely you'll make progress. So here are some key points to remember from this video. First of all, pain protects us and promotes healing. Pain is good for us. We need pain. But when pain goes on and on and on, it's being overprotective and it's not helpful at all. There are lots of factors that contribute to pain. There's biological, psychological and social. And because there are many things that contribute to pain, there are many things that we can do to reduce pain. And we will be talking about more of those things in the rest of these videos. Understanding what we've been talking about today is quite difficult. Would really encourage you to read through the workbook, to take some time to take the information in. And there's some useful websites here which are also really helpful in giving an understanding of what pain is all about. We'd also really encourage you to look at the homework in the workbook. Think about the factors that may be increasing your pain and the things that may help it, because understanding your own personal pain picture is important in helping you manage it. In the next video on managing activities, we will look at how we can manage life to help calm down this sensitive system.